Peter Gomes was such a force in this community for such a long time. He was a moral compass for Harvard. He was a historian of Harvard. He taught a course on Harvard's history. He was the curator of, as well as the preacher in Memorial Church, which was a place where so many of Harvard's important milestones took place.
Here was this gay black minister who was a Republican, and then he became a Democrat, and you know, I think for any one of those communities, Peter was difficult to read, difficult to make sense of, and I think he delighted in containing multitudes. I think for me, the two things unquestionably of all the things that you can miss about Peter are his voice and his wit.
I will miss his comforting voice. I will miss his services that I attended regularly at church.
Even if you weren't a person of God, listening to him give a sermon was really quite an experience.
What I miss most about Peter is his sardonic sense of humor.
He had this playful, sometimes even devilish sense of humor. He was very provocative.
Reverend Gomes was very funny. I can't recount his jokes. I can't do Reverend Gomes, but he was incredibly funny, and he could always just sort of lift a moment to a different place by the use of words.
We'll miss his laughter, his joviality, the wonderful sense of humor and conversation.
And his great generosity.
His legacy will be his commitment to developing a spiritual community that was inclusive of people of all ethnic, cultural, religious backgrounds.
He's made it such that anyone, no matter where you come from, no matter what you look like, no matter what creed you come from, regardless of your orientation, you can come to Harvard and own this place, that this can be yours.
He thought it was important for people to understand where they came from and what Harvard came from.
And I think he was also the conscience of the university in many ways. Many people sought him out for counsel, for help.
He wanted to bring students together because of his love for students. He wanted to see them develop friendships across all lines. And that is a legacy that he not only leaves us with, but it's really, as I said, something to aspire to.
He cared deeply about students, and many of them think that he was their best friend.
For generations of students, wherever they were about, he was able to say, we expect you. In fact, he would often say, you have an obligation to go from this place where you've had this incredible education and do something to change the world.
I and my daughter, Daisy, were among the last people to see him before he passed. And she took him a daisy, which he received and said thank you. And her name is Daisy. And we saw a bright smile, and he sort of dozed off again. You know, we sang at his bedside, we hold hands, we said prayers, we sang his favorite songs. And I remember one that I liked very much, and I know he liked. And very few people knew it, but it's in the new hymnal. He made sure of that. And it's the song that was sung by Mahalia Jackson at Martin Luther King's funeral. And it's called Precious Lord, Take My Hand. Lead me on, let me stand. And it's so beautiful. And so we sang that as he was passing at his bedside at Mass General Hospital.
I mean, there were all different types of people that could relate to Peter. Maybe not always with complete comfort, right? As I said, he didn't always make sense to all of us, but in a weird sort of way, he was the person many of us looked to as an example of how to navigate a whole series of complex identities in a way that was really quite brilliant and inspiring.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I miss him.